Hello and welcome to my channel Making Crafts. Today I am using G. Kerr's Happiness in Crafting Assorted Fussy Cuts #1. And there's tons of fussy cuts in this, and she has them in different sizes. So there are 6 sheets total, and there's a variety of different items in here. So it's not just one set theme. You could use these with all kinds of journals and cards and different things. And so these 4 sheets I just showed you are the larger size, and then she has them in sheets where they're smaller and that they're all combined to be smaller images. So what I did for today's project is I took the first 4 sheets. Let me show you. I took the larger sheets of images, and so there was 4 of those. So when I went in my printer, I told it that I wanted to print 4 pages per 1 page. So by doing that, you go in your printer, and when you hit print, there'll be settings about, fit to page and adjust and different things like that in landscape. So I chose landscape, and then I chose multiple pages, and then I raised that to 4 pages per 1 page. And so I printed the 4 regular size pages onto 1 page to make small images for our project. And so what we're going to do with these is we're going to take Sculpey clay, white Sculpey clay, and these images, and we are going to be making charms for our junk journals. Now, I'm not sure how well this will work with inkjet, since inkjet printers do run, but I use a laser jet printer, and so this works great with those. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. And I am not a clay artist. I have never really been one to make clay projects and things. My children love playing with clay, and so that's why I do have some of the tools that I do have for clay. And so, and I've already started making a mess because I've already started working on it. But you really don't need a lot of tools if you can just print this out. If you don't have a laser jet printer, you can find a friend that does, or some of the copy shops may actually have those as well. And so you want to get that, and then you're going to just need some water. I'm just using an old hairspray bottle that I've added, or spritz bottle that I've added water to. And then you're just going to fussy cut your images out, and I've done that for some of them already. And you're just printing, I think I already said you print it on regular copy paper, and then you can have special, I went looking in my kids' Play-Doh section, but they've thrown all their Play-Doh stuff away. So I needed some round cutters, but I'm just going to use this. This is just a roll from some labels that we have in our Etsy shop that we print labels on. But you could use like the lids. You could take the lid off of something like this, and I may do that eventually. Well, this one's got a sprayer in it, but you could take the lid off of a little paint bottle, or anything like that, a peel bottle if it's empty. Don't leave your peels left open, but you could do anything like that to cut out the size. And I do have some special little, what do you call these? These are like cookie cutters, but they're not. It's for cake decorating, and I've never used these, but all of these, I ordered these, but they're all too small for what I'm doing today. So I'm just going to use this and possibly some lids and different things to cut out my little charms. And so what you want to do is, to get started, you're going to be using, and I saved the package to show you, it's just your original Sculpey, and I ordered mine off of Amazon, but you can find them in Joann's and Hobby Lobby and Michael's and different places like that. And then you're going to want to get some of your clay. Let me find my clay. I've already conditioned this one. So when you get your clay, you're going to want to condition it. And you just do that by just squeezing your hands and warming it up. And you'll just keep working your clay in your hands until it gets soft. And it will soften up as you work it. And you just want to keep kneading it. And so then you could just take a bottle like this, or if you had a jar or anything, or rolling pin. Now you don't want to use anything that you're going to go back and eat off of, so don't use your kitchen rolling pin. But if you have a craft rolling pin, you could use that in anything to roll it out. Now I'm rolling mine out though today, and I have just used a jar before to roll mine out. But my children love playing with Sculpey, and they've done it for years. So this is just like a pasta machine, and I bought this one probably, I don't even know how old it is. It's really got a lot of clay and stuff on it. But I bought this one it's probably 18 years old, so you probably can find better ones now in the craft stores to use for clay. But if you're just going to try this project, I suggest not buying anything other than the Sculpey clay and then printing out your sheets. I wouldn't buy anything, because when I first tried it, I only bought the Sculpey clay. I did not, and that's my oven. I guess you hear it beeping. I've got my oven heated up, so when I get these made, you have to bake it. And so it is beeping, let me know it's heated up. But I wouldn't invest until you really start doing these and like them. Then you can invest in more supplies. But what I would do is just find something around the house to cut them out with, and just invest in the Sculpey clay. And you can find something around the house to roll it out with. And that way you don't invest a lot. This is very inexpensive project, and so that's what I would do. I would not invest in all the Sculpey stuff and all the unless you're planning on doing a lot of Sculpey clay. Now, I'm not a clay artist, so I can't do a lot of those things where I think it's beautiful when they make different little projects with it, but that's just not me. So this one, though, is simple enough, even I can do it. So what you want to do is I just wet my clay just a little. And my spray bottle, you know, is going to act up when I start the camera. So you're just going to rub it around there. And then, like I said, this is laser jet, so the ink won't run like it would for a inkjet. And so I'm going to make enough room on here so that I've got enough to, you know, put my cutter on there. And then I'm just going to gently press down. And you just want to gently press it into the clay. And then you're just going to wet the back. And you don't have to have a spray bottle either. That's just what I keep at my craft station so I don't spill water all over my craft station. You could just get a little bowl of water to dip your finger in, or a little cup of water to dip your finger in. But I keep that for watercolor and for different projects that needs water when I do my mixed media. And that way I don't spill water all over my paper crafts as well, because I, you know, have a lot of paper crafts and things sitting around, and it just keeps everything safer for me, because I've always got a pile on my desk and I wind up knocking something over. So what you want to do is you just want to keep gently rubbing. Don't rush it. Just keep adding a little bit of water, and you're just working that paper off, and you just want to gently rub it until you get the paper off. And you don't have to get all the paper off yet, because you just want to get enough off that most of it's gone, but you may have a little film on it. But after you bake it, you can take and get the rest of the paper off. But you just want to get as much off as you can, but without tearing up your image. And like I said, you can go back after it's baked and take the rest off. So I'm just going to get me a little brush, I think. Let me see. I need something light that's not going to mar up my clay. And I'm just going to brush off those pieces of paper. And I'm just going to rub just a little bit more. And this is a very soft bristle brush that I'm using to wipe this off. And you don't have to do this. I'm just getting it out of the way since I'm going to be making quite a few and I'm on camera. I'm going to look down and I'm going to pull it a little closer to me because I can't see good. And I'm just going to cut it. Now, if you were using a lid, it would be easier. And so then I'm just going to press that. So I'm going to press it into the clay. And then I'm just going to twist it a little. And let's see if I can get that cut all the way through. If not, I'm going to take a drink lid. Yes, I am going to take a lid from, I've got something similar to this. I'm trying to think what it is. Maybe this blue bottle. That'll be the same size. And I'm just going to do that. I think that's going to work better than this. I just went through my house searching to see what I could find that would work for this. And then you just, you could always, just pick it out of there. You don't want to destroy it, but if you get your little edges messed up trying to get it out, you can just gently wipe with your finger to smooth it back over. And so that's what you want to do before you bake it. You want to smooth your back over, your edges. And so you just want to get it smoothed up just a little, because these are homemade, handmade, so it's not going to matter. And so that one, now I will have to put a hole through the image. Some of the images are bigger, some are smaller, and so it just depends on the size of your image, where you'll have to put the hole for your charm. But And you could make your charm, you could make these even smaller. I have printed out some even smaller, and with that one I took the smaller ones. I took the page that she had with smaller images like this, and then I printed this half size so that 2 per page, and that way they were a lot smaller. And so you can do that as well depending on the size of your charm, but I like this little size for a charm. So let's do another one together. So like I said, you just want to wet your clay a little, just a little bit of water, and just rub it around there. And then you're just going to lay the picture on, and like I said, just press gently. And you could take something like this and roll across it, but this has lines in it, so I don't want to mark my clay. So I could actually use my glue bottle that's smooth, and I could just roll it over it gently like that, and it's just pressing it down in there. And then just add a little water. And in this part, you really want the water to you know, get it good and wet so that you can gently roll that off. And I'm just gently rolling off the paper. And so then we're just going to rub gently. And like I said, don't rush it, or you may, if you rush it, you'll wind up pulling too much paper off and you'll rip your image off. So I just gently rub it, and you'll start seeing your image come through, and it's just so pretty when it does. I'm going to add just a little bit more water because I don't want to rip my image. Okay, so just going to gently rub it, because you don't want to press hard either, because you don't want to distort the image, because by moving the clay around you would distort it. So I'm just very gently doing this, and you can see that the image is starting to come through. And then some of the paper will be left on it, but that's okay. Like I said, when I bake it, you can rub the rest off, and that way you don't pull your whole image off. But this one, well, this one I said some was going to be left, but it all came off, and look how gorgeous that is. And I know you can't see because it's small, you can't see as good, but what I will do is I will, you wipe that off, I will take and hold these up close to the camera once I get them made. So what I'm going to do now is just cut this one out once again, and this lid's doing great because I can actually see through it. So I'm just going to press that down, and then I'm going to twist. Got to twist really hard though, because you got to cut all the way through. And I think this is, if I'm correct, I think it was about 1/4 inch thick, but you could do 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch. And so the thing about having those, using these, they're a plunger type, and it will push the clay out, but none of those, like I said, were big enough. So I'm just using this, but that's the only problem you run into, is getting the clay out of your mold. So if you have a cookie cutter or something that you're going to trash that's small like this, then it would be best. But what I'm doing here is I'm just rolling it around the edge here so I don't destroy my image, and just getting it where it'll come out. And that'll make the edge smooth, and it will come out. Okay. And then just pop it out. And there we go. And now I'm just going to smooth it up again. And honestly, I'm going to try it thinner too, because this one is kind of thick. And I guess different spots will be thicker depending on where it was. Because what I did with my machine is I rolled it through, and then I had to fold it in half because my machine was making it too thin. So, because I want them kind of thick, because I want chunky little charms. Oops. Now this is the part I struggle with, is when it's something small like this, holding on to it. But it's a fun little project. You just have to take your time and be patient with it. Just be real patient with it, and don't rush it. This is a good, relaxing project. Don't rush through them. It's not production. And as you see, this one's drying. You can see that more paper was left on, but that's okay, because when we bake it, we will rub that back off, and it'll be easier to rub it off. And then there's the other one. Look how gorgeous that is. And you could make this smoother. And if you really wanted to get into making these look professional, then you'd want to buy some some cutters that was the right size and everything. But I like the homemade look, and that's the purpose of these, is to, you know, to be a little handmade. Here is a smaller one, and I'll show you how these plungers do work if I can find a round plunger that's the right size for that one. Excuse me. Let me see. That one may not. We could use that one. So I'm going to show you one more, and then I will bake these so you can see what they're going to look like when they're done, and I'll show you how we finish them up. So let's do one more together, and then, so you just want to press it in good, and then gently rub the paper off. It's just so much fun when you see it start popping through, and all that bright color. So pretty. And these, when I saw this kit, I knew that it would be perfect for this. Now, if you don't have a laser printer or you don't want to do the clay project, no worries. In a few days, I am going to be doing a paper project with this kit as well. So you'll be able to see me use this kit in other ways. So now this cutter is too small, but you don't have to always have the whole image on there. So I'm just going to focus on the flowers, and then I'm going to press it in. And let's just twist it a little bit. Okay, and so I felt it release. And so this is what I'm talking about, the plunger one. You can just take and press the clay out, and there you have your perfect little charm. So these would be worth it if you were going to make a bunch up. And so there's a itty bitty charm. Okay, so now I'm going to go bake these, and I will return with those baked. So to bake these, what you want to do is, I'm going to dry this clay off so hopefully I can salvage it. What you want to do is to bake them, you read the package and go by the package directions of the one that you get, but mine says 275 degrees Fahrenheit. And what I have is I have an old glass pie plate, or pie pan, whatever you call it, and it's glass, and that's what I bake mine on. You can buy Sculpey mats, I think. You can buy, and it tells you on the package what all you can use. It says you can use oven-proof glass or metal surface. I have never had a lot of luck with metal when baking them, so that's why I use the glass. And so that's what I'm going to go do now, and I will be right back with you with some baked charms. So before I go to bake these, I decided to show you one more way that you can make these if you don't have anything to cut them out with or have the shape or size that you want, is you can use your X-Acto knife. Now, I have always been hesitant about using X-Acto knife because I'm just scared of blades, but I did get one recently, and I'm just slowly learning to use it. And so what I suggest is to use it very carefully and very slowly, and just don't be in a rush with this, and you can just follow along like this one. It's just a little rectangle. And so what you can do is just follow along the edges of that rectangle and gently cut it out. And then what we'll do is, I'll show you in just a second, we're going to smooth it up. So it doesn't matter, just kind of looking like it's a little broken piece off of something is fine. Here's one, it's the bird cage, and I'm just going to make a rectangle or square around it. So I'm just going to eyeball how I want it. Cut it out of the clay here. And then I'm just going to cut straight across here. And I can shape it up more once I get it out of the clay. So now I'm just going to pull the clay off. And my clay is looking kind of worn. Oops, I forgot. I want to take this one. And I just want to get the roses in it, but I'm not sure what size. I think I'm going to do this size. And I just cut this, it was a longer image, and I just cut it down. So here, just make sure I got all the way through. And then I'm just going to pull up. And sometimes you get lucky when you're cutting like that, and it will just pull up like that, and you don't have to get it out of the lid like we were earlier. And then this one, so we've had the little rectangle, we can follow the lines and cut it out. But you just take your finger and take those little points away so that it just takes some of that sharpness off of where you cut it out. And you can always go back and cut if you see that you've got some sticking out. just take it gently and cut with your blade, and be very careful, keep your fingers out of the way, and then just smooth it out. And there we have. And I'm just kind of going in and angling down at an angle. It says straight down, I'm going at an angle towards it so that the clay is not sticking out where I cut it. So I hope that makes sense. Instead of taking the blade straight down, I'm kind of going at an angle. Before I do that. And that way you don't have any clay sticking out. And you've got your little charm there. So we're going to bake all these in just a moment, and you'll get to see what they look like baked. I'm just going to smooth this one. Okay, so now this one we've cut out just loosely, and so now I'm going to shape it up. Now that I have it out, I'm just going to shape it up a little bit more so I can make it square, or somewhat more square than it is. And once again, I want to cut towards kind of not straight down, but kind of angled so that there's no clay sticking out back. And so let me see here. I think I want to take a little off the top here and just slide it. And so now I'm just going to round the corner so that this square is kind of like a little, like I said, like a little chipped out piece. So you don't have to go for perfection, 90-degree angles and things like that. You just kind of making little charms. And so this one's kind of large. So this one I would just glue on the front, and you could make bigger ones to glue on the front. Okay, so once you have them baked, when you get them out of the oven, you want to I just stick mine in a bowl of cold water, and then I get them out immediately, and I take my thumb and just rub the rest of the paper off. I have cut out some pieces of burlap, because what I forgot to mention before is if you're going to use yours as charms to dangle onto your glue bottle or your journal or wherever you're going to have them, then you'll want to use a toothpick to poke a little hole in each one of your charms before you bake them. But I'm not going to be using mine to dangle. I'm using mine on, like I'm using this little burlap here, and what I'm going to do is glue them onto the burlap, and then I will use them on the front of a cover of a journal. So, like for example, you could take this one, and I could take, let me slide these over the way, and my thoughts are that I will glue this, so I could just glue it right onto the journal, and anywhere on it. Let's just see. And of course I'll be adding lots of other things to this, so you could just add it on, and you didn't have to put the burlap. You could just be adding it onto the lace here, or like this, but I thought the burlap adds to it, and so you just add it to the front of the journal. And so several of these I thought I could use to decorate journals up, and you could just have like a little decoration, or it could be in a cluster. You could also add these to clusters, and let me see if I got some paper here of cluster that I can use for clusters. So I just take scraps and I make up these strips, and I just keep them on hand. And let's see, so you could just stick them onto something like this, and then add a little word. So you can make yourself a little cluster like this, and then add it there. Or let's see which one I want to add. Let's see here. That one's a good one though. Or you could do this with a little, find the right fabric, the right size. But yeah, so you can get the idea. You would put it here, and then you could just put a little word right there. And so that would be cute. Let me show you how I would do that. I'll go ahead and add that one to this little cluster here. And I have my Tim Holtz words that I like to add. Let me pull those out. And so I could just find, this is the sayings. He also does make ones that's just words. But let's just find one to put on here that will fit. Let's find a short one. How about practice kindness? So let's go ahead and add that. And then we will take, and we're just going to stick this right here, and then like this. So let me get my glue cleaned off here. Okay, so I'm just going to add this to the paper first. And I'm not gluing all the way to the edge of this because I want it to be kind of loose, but I am going to add some glue right up here so this strip don't come out of each one so it doesn't unravel. Okay, and so I'm just going to put that on there kind of diagonally. Let me just add, don't want to cover up our words, and then just add that little charm there. But let's look at it. Do we want to add, let's add a little bit of antique gold wax to the edges. It's just going to kind of age it, I think. It kind of gives it an older look to me. So there, then we'll just add it. If I can get my glue out, we'll just add it to here. So I'm just putting, and I think that this Fabri-Tac should work really good with this to attach it. It's pretty strong glue, because I think you're going to need a strong glue to attach it to something. I'm just going to press it on. And there we got a little cluster with it. And so for this one, I'll be adding it to the burlap. I'm just going to add some glue on the back here. And I think you could probably use hot glue for this too. I don't use hot glue because I never keep my gun heated up. But hot glue would work for this as well, to hold it on here. It's just that sometimes hot glue, depending on where you live, it can pop loose. It's just, I find that sometimes it will on certain things, especially if it's near the heat. So this one, I've already went through and put a little bit of gold metallic on it. So, and I didn't make it solid. I kind of just highlighted some of the edges with the gold metallic. Let me hold that up so you can see it. And then let me hold this little cluster up so you can see it. So another way to use these charms is to make a little over the page hidden paperclip bookmark. And so this one I've went ahead and made it with some brown paper, and I'm going to show you how I made it. And so what you want to do is you want to cut your strip of paper 1 3/4. This one's 1 3/4 by 4. It really is going to depend on which charm you make and what size you make yours. And then you just want to make the next strip a little smaller. So this is 1 1/2 by 3 1/2. And so then you just fold both of them in half long ways. Okay, and so then you're just going to take a little paper clip and attach it to this one. And leave that hanging up just a little bit. So for this part, I want to decorate it before I add the paper clips. So I'm going to take, and I have a Bo Bunny stamp here that I am going to it's just for text, and I'm just going to stamp it. And let me put some paper down real quick. Stamp here. Okay. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to put the decoration over top of it. I'm going to do that one more time. And I'm going to, let's just do the same thing on the back. So I'm just going to do it like this now so I can see better. And just pressing it down. And there we go. So now I will take, and let's see, let's take a little piece of this one, and I like this one. So I may have a little piece already cut here that will fit this one. So then I'm just going to turn it diagonally like that little square and then attach the little charm. But I think I need it to be a little smaller, so I have a bigger one. So I'm just going to take this burlap and make it smaller. So that it will fit my little circle here, and then just trim it off. And burlap can get very messy doing something like this. So I'm just going to add it like that. Let's see, is that enough? Kind of like this. Or maybe I do need just a bigger piece. So let me see here. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this string out right here. Burlap, you don't, you just cut like, you just pull the string out and then you can cut it. Just do it like this. I'm trying to decide, do I want it diagonal or do I want it square like that? I think diagonal you can see more of the, so kind of like this one. I did it diagonal, but it was a square on like a rectangle on top of it. So we're just going to add it. See if I can make it just a little smaller. Then we're just going to add it on top there with some Fabri-Tac, or you could use hot glue. Just adding it in there. And just kind of turn it diagonal sideways. And then I'm just going to add the charm. And I got to decide which charm do I want. I think I like this one on this. And I'm going to leave that for just a second. Hopefully the glue don't dry. I forgot, I'm going to go ahead for the back side. I'm just going to add a piece of paper because it will get too thick for your planner or your book or your journal if you've got two of these on the sides. So let's just see here. Add a little bit of that and then the paper. So let's do that again. So the front and back do match as far as having the burlap, but we have the paper instead of a charm. Just stick that on there. There we go. And then let's turn it over and stick our little charm on. I may should add just a little bit more glue since I did let that dry for a few minutes. That's okay. And I am using a lot of glue because I really want this to stick. I don't want my little charm to come off. I'm just going to hold it there for just a minute. Okay. Oops. So just hold both of them. Both sides. I want to get both sides good and stuck. So I'm going to let that sit there like that while I work on this part. So we've got our paper clip. We need to, I'm going to use the X-Acto knife. Be very careful doing this part, but just go right in the center and just slide it, just slide away from your fingers though. Just cut a big enough spot for your paper clip. Test it out. I'm going to let it stick out because I'm going to add a little ribbon there. So I want to make it sure I got enough sticking out. And then you can just add glue. And I think hot glue would work for this part as well. But mine is not heated up, so I'm just going to use the Fabri-Tac because the Fabri-Tac works too. I've used Fabri-Tac every time I've made these, the bookmarks. I've used Fabri-Tac so far and hadn't had a problem. I call them bookmarks. I guess they're over the page clips, or what they call hidden paper clips. But I use mine a lot of times as bookmarks or as in my planner. So I think that's why I keep calling it. And then you're just going to glue the back side again. Glue the paper clip to the back side. Just hold that for a moment. Put a cap on that. I don't want to get cut. And then these just fit over the page. You've got your hidden paper clip, and so you just slide them down over a page like that. Oops, mine wasn't dry, and so I pushed my paper clip. Let me pull that out just a little. Okay. So now I'm just going to add a little bit, add a little bow to it, and I like this for the little rustic look. So I'm just going to tie a little bow at the top. There, good tight. We have our little over the page paper clip. There's one, and then this one I can do the same thing. And so with these, we've made several little things. This can go on the cover of a book. This can go on the cover of a book or somewhere. You could even add it to one of these and make a larger over the page clip. So I thought these are really cute. Let me add a bow here. And if you want to make these into charms that you can use to dangle on your page, then like I said, be sure to add a little hole in them right before you bake them. And so that way you can add, I think that string is just not big enough, and that way you can add them as charms in your book. To hang them, you know, dangling them in the, on the side or in the center of your journal. And this technique can be used a lot of things. Like I said, you can make ornaments, you can make all kinds of little decorative pieces to hang around or to glue onto glue onto things to decorate in your home. So these can be used in many different ways. But I just wanted to show you one way to use them in your crafting and in your journals, since we do a lot of journals on my channel. So there we have it. And I think I would cut this one down quite a bit because that's just too much string. And sometimes if I feel like this is going to come loose, I will just add a little glue to the knot and then pull it tight. We'll see how those do. And so here's just a quick little project that won't take long to make, and I think the longest part is, well, it's very relaxing to sit and make these. It does take a bit to do that. And then you bake, I had to bake mine for about 15 minutes. And so then I've got all these little charms to use in different projects. So I think this little fussy cut kit by Happiness and Crafting is perfect for this. And it's so many different little pictures that it would go with all kinds of different little journals and things. I'm going to link below where you can get the fussy cut kit. And don't forget to subscribe and like my video. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.